Fran, thank you for being with us. Let's go back before July 14th, 2023.
You mean when I had a life?
Exactly.
I have to say before.
Why, how, and when you started to think about organizing for a strike?
I went into the negotiation hoping that we would be able to come up with a contract that was workable for both sides. And maybe that was my own naivete, but I found it difficult to imagine that when you present a business model that is as different as what we are experiencing now with streaming, that the contract that was actually forged in 1960 would have to be changed as well. And they were very defiant about that, which I found quite shocking. I think that I have known for a very long time that this was going to be a seminal negotiation. I completely understood that we are at an inflection point because there are very big things that have to be tackled that we've never had to talk about before.
Right.
And because of that, and because we're dealing with companies that keep bundling together so they become even stronger, more powerful.
Almost monopolies.
Monopolies, exactly. More greed-driven and more connected to Wall Street than the collaborative art form upon which they're building the business. I knew that this was going to be a historic time. And I felt the people who are most affected by this contract, because the very famous performer, they negotiate their own contract. They don't really have to pay a lot of attention, although some things do apply to them in this contract as well. But it's not like the real, what we call, journeyman performer. They're the ones that are completely impacted by this. And I knew that they were at the point where they could take no more, where the money was getting less and less. The way they were being treated was becoming worse and worse. And so that was why we had an unprecedented turnout for the strike authorization vote. That was the entire member body voting to say, if you think we need to strike and you can't get any further in the negotiations, you go for it.
I think you went with 97% approval?
97.91.
Wow. Do you have the support of all those famous actors in this?
They are very supportive. We are a very tight-knit community. Nobody started out being rich and famous. Everybody remembers when they got their first SAG card. And what a gift that was, to be thought of as a professional actor. And I think that an enormous amount of personal wealth was donated by these very people to the foundation, which is a separate entity from the union, but it's to benefit the union members. And they have called me, they are discussing things with me, and they're very much in it to win it, because they're most threatened by the artificial intelligence.
Which leads me to my next question. What are the things that have to happen for the strike to cease? What are those non-negotiable points?
Everything with artificial intelligence has to be consent and compensation. You never own anything. There's nothing, you can't scan us and keep it in perpetuity. None of that. No. That is what makes us who we are. That's what we sell. That's our careers. That's our livelihood. That's our talent. So you come to us when you want it, and it's compensation and consent. Otherwise, nada. And then the base pay has to catch up with inflation. What they want to pay in real money is less than what they were making in 2020. And they expect that to go to 2026. Every other union gets, the inflationary raises, cost of living increases, except we don't. That has to change. And we can't make the residual money that we used to make in the old broadcast structure. That was a structure where, as long as there were eyeballs watching and ad dollars paying, that it stayed on as long as it could. And they tried to get as many episodes each season. And they tried to get as many years for the series, as long as there were eyeballs and ad dollars. That was what the contract was based off of. And
Platforms didn't exist.
Right. And then the studio would then sell it into syndication. So there was more money for the performer to make. And they would sell it globally, international. So, for example, when I did The Nanny, people on that show who had one line are still making money 30 years later. When you do a television show for a streaming channel, you're in a vacuum. They own it. They keep it on the menu as long as they want to, and then it goes away. There's no tail of revenue. They make much smaller episode orders. So where I sometimes on The Nanny did 28 episodes in a season, now if you're lucky, it's 10, but it's never more than 10. And then the amount of seasons, when, you could go 6, 7, 9, 11 years.
That doesn't exist anymore.
Now it's 3 or 4 if it's a big hit. Why is that? Because the show, even though the audience is watching it and enjoying it, is no longer doing the heavy lifting of getting more subscribers. And subscribers is the name of the game. So they promote it, they get everybody excited about it, people start talking amongst themselves. Did you see this show? Oh, I'm not on that platform. Oh, you gotta sign on to it. You gotta join it because it's such a good show. Okay, so that's how the word of mouth, the advertising, it does the heavy lifting of getting a show to get subscribers for the platform. Once it begins to plateau and then drop off, even though everybody that's currently a subscriber is loving the show, it has to go. So, and then they'll have another, flying dragon to excite new subscribers to sign on, as well as also get the regular subscribers to be momentarily disappointed that their favorite show is going away. But there's this new thing that they can look at. So they're retraining viewing habits. But what does that do for people that are working with a contract that's 60 years old? Looking at broadcast television that was based off of eyeballs and ad dollars, when this is all about subscriptions. So we need to go into the subscriptions pocket to compensate for the loss here. That is a deal breaker. They didn't see that coming, and they don't want to share in the wealth, even though we're building the platform for them. And they have to come to that awakening that that's what it's going to take. They're going to have to pivot 180 and realize, you know, this is a collaborative art form. We do need them to build it. And we have to be baked into every subscription dollar. That's it.
Fran, muchísimas gracias.
Oh, te adoro.
Thank you so much.